This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.
Welcome everybody to the March Commission on Disability meeting. I am just going to go over the attendance. I'm going to be taking notes. Hi. We don't have a secretary, so we're looking for one, but I'm going to try to do accurate minutes. So who do we have missing? Nobody? Just the new person, maybe? I just sent him out text, so. I'm not missing anybody else, right? Yeah. Great. I attached the minutes to the email, but somehow they weren't in the email, so I'll have to send them back out. So we're going to skip the part about doing the minutes approval. We'll have to do 2 minutes next meeting. So we're going to go into public speak, but I don't see anybody here. Anybody on the computer, right? Nobody's there?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So we're going to go right into you doing an introduction.
Sure. Hey, everyone. My name's Dylan Maxfield. I'm an associate planner here at Easthampton. I think you all know we're going through some changes in planning right now. Jeff Bagg has departed. I started here about 3 months ago. So as we're transitioning, I'll be filling in for the shoes that Jeff Bagg has left empty here on this commission. So looking forward to working with you folks.
Thank you. Again, we were going to do introductions of new members, but he's not here yet. So we'll wait, see if he comes. And we'll have Councilor Gomez go.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Thank you for having me here.
Of course.
Sadly, we don't have Mr. Bagg anymore, right? I have multiple meetings with him, and I apologize. The last meeting couldn't show up, including that he wasn't able to show up either.
Can't hear you.
Yeah. So we have a conversation that exactly what we're gonna do as an ordinance. I didn't bring anything with me today because I prefer to look exactly what you guys are looking for, so that way I can bring something better for the next meeting. Because I think it was a confusion between me, Mr. Bagg, and the commission, because it's exactly what you guys are looking for. What you guys are really looking for us to create in this ordinance is that you guys want the every activity that we're going to do in the city have to tell people that have accessibility for disability, or do you guys want to require to have some for the disabled community? What is it? What is it? Do you guys want us to do something related that we should have services or parking or bathrooms, or what you guys are looking for us to create?
So originally we wanted to make an ordinance that requested that every building and every event has to list.
Building means private buildings too, like private businesses.
But we don't know that we're allowed to do that, right?
So-
Right. So that's what we were hoping for, but then we learned that maybe we can't do that, right? Because we can't enforce it. So we were just hoping whatever the maximum that we can do, that they would be required to list some of their accommodations. And obviously you can't list all accommodations, so you know everybody's disability. That's overwhelming. But so it would also have to be a updated contact person and a contact phone number, email, so somebody could call and say oh, I have vision issues, I need to sit up front, how does that work? And because if you just call the regular number, you're going to get somebody that's just oh, I have no idea, I don't have any power. So we wanted to make sure there was somebody that was on top of that issue. So that started with the buildings, but then we were thinking about all the events that happen. And we were hoping that there would be some sort of ordinance that would cover events.
And the events, what you're looking for in the events, the same?
The same, yeah. It's mostly the feedback is like, people don't know who to ask when they're going to whatever, right? Like going to the farmer's market, like, well, what if I need this? What if I need that? Or I don't know if somebody had a gathering or a party or.
See how I can do that.
Yep, go ahead.
So, so, I mean, you don't have any power to regulate private venues per se. However, you do have a permitting process for gathering, for alcohol, for stuff like that. I mean, could some form of just listing what the accessibility features are? You know, I mean, like a bar could have an accessibility section on the website. A bar could have, this is our disability contact person. Could, you know, and the city does have that within its purview through a lot of permitting processes if it wanted to go that way. So to say, you know.
Yeah, so, right. So, yeah, so the idea is, right, it should be possible for someone to know whether something would be accessible to them, right? Without having to just guess and try to do it and fail.
Yeah, just basically, if Bryce and I are hanging out and we're going out, we want to hit Cottage Street and there's an event, I want to be able to call and be like, so can you tell me about, you know, accessibility there and how to get in? And I want to, you know, if the person who picks up the phone doesn't know, I want them to be like, oh, well, here's our contact person for availability. And I know that some of the old buildings, they're not going to, you know, they might not be able to, they might have a lot of stairs. They might not have an elevator, and not every accessibility feature is going to be available, but I at least want to be able to find that easy. And I think that's what we want in the ordinance,
Okay.
you know?
So you don't have to show up to find out.
Exactly.
Hey, actually, I can't get in here.
I think that is possible. Something for business to have something, bring something new and be hard. Or to have the information about the accessibility that they have, I think we can do that.
Yeah.
Let me talk to the lawyer, city lawyer. I'm pretty sure we can do it.
Great.
Question. So is this thing for like a public event with the idea to be as part of that permitting process that, you know, when you're submitting for your alcohol license or whatever, you just submit, hey, this is our plan for ADA accessibility, and that's submitted to the city. And then if somebody wants to find out about a particular event, the city has that information. Somebody calls, what is this
Yeah.
the
Be
idea
careful
kind of
with
what
the
we're thinking?
ADA thing, because a lot of things that are ADA don't actually address any disability that people have.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not always going to be ADA. It might be like,
I need to sit up front. I can't see, I can't hear.
yeah,
Or it might be like, this event is going to have flashing lights,
yeah,
right? Or, you know, this
yeah,
event does or doesn't have like large print available for something, or
Right, you can't possibly list all of those because you wouldn't know. So that's why we need a contact person.
my kid has autism. Are there any quiet areas, you know, stuff like that. Just businesses should be aware that, you know, businesses should know who to throw those questions to, I guess, is the bottom line. It's not that every event is going to have everything. That's just not the world we live in, unfortunately. But,
So
But,
part
you
of it is events, but also part of it is just the building or the
Mhm,
entrance in
mhm.
general, right?
you know,
So,
if we create a culture where businesses are used to being approached about stuff like that and are able to, have back of their head type things, that's going to create improvements kind of organically a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's going to create an atmosphere where people with disabilities feel comfortable, feel more confident, hitting the town and calling about events and stuff like that,
Stan, do you have anything you want to include? Can you hear us? Dan?
I didn't have anything. No, I thought that covered it well.
Louise, do you have anything to? All right.
I think the point about culture is very good, though. I mean, certainly. I mean, what do? You said if you want to go someplace, you find a friend and send them because they've got access so that they can ask either that or, I mean, official things too.
Mhm.
And if you've got a kid with autism, that's a
Well,
huge.
I don't, but I'm using that as a hypothetical.
It's a really good.
Yeah.
Because do you want people either calling the cops or just like going, oh my God, where all the kid needs is a quiet place to regulate themselves.
Right.
And awareness, a social awareness that this happens.
Oh, I have a question. What about the worship people? If somebody's in the worship, how is that gonna work?
Right.
Yep. So
We need that person, yeah.
Right, we need that person to do, to have a, what do you call it? I forget what to call it, but it needs somebody to get on that and go say, hey, look, we need to have worship people to come in so they can walk around.
That's right. I feel like we're missing something, but I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry.
This is good.
Okay.
I will bring.
We'll go back and
I love
bother
it.
you with more.
Yes, I will bring the ordinance of the language of the ordinance for the next meeting.
Okay.
You guys can review it, and if you wanna make some change it before I introduce it to the full council, we can do that, and then I'll introduce it to the full council.
Okay.
So, when is the next meeting?
That would be April 11th.
We'll have something.
Not Thursday.
Same time, 11 a.m.
Yep. Yes, sir, is what I meant.
I'll be here.
Okay,
Good to know much.
great.
Thank you.
You wanna go?
I'm happy to go. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
I brought some stuff. I brought a bunch of pens. Those are still good. These are good pens. Sleep, feel welcome. Take one, pass down.
I love pens.
Bring in gifts.
I love pens. because I
That's
love
me.
to write a lot.
I come with presents. I
I
really,
love to write a lot.
excellent. You should say. I also brought my business cards. And then I realized that just
Lovely.
before I got here, I changed my last name and email address. So
Whoops.
the name and the email are incorrect, but the phone number is correct. So I'm still gonna pass those out.
Okay. Okay.
But if you're looking for me now, it's Schlieben,
Are you
SCHL.
from Northampton, VA Hospital?
I am from the VA, yes, the VA in Northampton.
Okay, my mom used to work there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really great place to work. I love
Yeah.
working there. I have
Yeah.
been working at the VA for many
Okay.
years now. I started there when I was an intern training to be a social worker at the VA in Vermont, and now I work here in Northampton. And I do this. I build coalitions that work towards suicide prevention. So one of the ones, the very first one that I started was right here in Easthampton.
Right.
And it's been wonderful. And Angelique joins us. And, you come to one of our events or at least visited our
It's
tables?
the reason I changed the date of this meeting, so I could go to their meeting.
So a little bit about how this, you wanted me to talk about our Easthampton Coalition or what?
Yeah, just for the most.
The background. Sure. So what we're doing right now is we put on monthly veteran meals at the Congregational Church. They've been wonderful. They happen on the first Wednesday of every month at noon, and anybody who served in the military is welcome to come and bring a guest. And it's been really lovely. Our attendance has ranged between 50 and 30 folks, which we're really jazzed about. The church has been incredibly welcoming. So the point of this, I got to back up a little bit because my job sits as part of a national program in suicide prevention, initiative in suicide prevention at the VA, where we're branching off our programming into two directions. We have folks that work inside the facility, one-on-one with people, and offer resources and support to people who are struggling, who come to the VA, right? And that's my friend and coworker, Jillian, and she's wonderful, and she's also on our coalition. But then my job is to go outside and try to do more systems work, right? So the types of things you're talking about right now, city ordinances to help things get better, building tables for people to come around to fix bigger problems, right? And the bigger problem that we work on is veteran suicide. And the way we can do that is a couple different ways. And we have different priority areas that we focus on. Those are on the back sheet. Did I not send it out enough around? But on the back, it says, identify service members, veterans and their families, and screen for suicide risk, promote connectedness and improve care transitions, and increase lethal means safety and safety planning. So these are the areas that we focus on. And this particular Easthampton Coalition focuses on that second area, promoting connectedness. And the hope is that if we build a stronger veteran community where they feel welcome and seen and connected to other folks that have served, that will reduce suicide rates on a bigger scale.
My nephew Mikey is in the army, but he's like what you just talking about. That's what he is now. Well, he's at the Ready Hospital right now. He's getting some help. So
Yeah.
yeah. So.
And we remain available all the time. And if anybody has any questions about how to help somebody get connected to care at the VA, I'm really happy to do that. I also, one of the coolest things that I find about my job is that it's got nothing to do with bringing people into the VA. I'm not here to drum up business for the VA. I'm here because I think that most of the work happens right here in the communities. And so we had an event last summer where we had a walk and we had a barbecue and a raffle. It was really fun. It was out in the park. It was actually a very hot day. And it was when all that Canadian forest fire smoke was coming down. So we cut it a little short just for the breathing safety. But I was thinking about that event when you were talking about this ordinance and wanting a contact person, and that it would be so easy to have just a name and a phone number. If somebody said, hey, I'd love to come, but my friend is in a wheelchair and I know you're doing a 2-mile walk. Is this going to be accessible? And then somebody can at least go over, well, there's this section of it, this 1/4 mile is over grass, but it's flat and we've walked it, but the police will be there the whole time. And then you can make your own decision. That feels so doable.
Yeah, a very brief point, but then you have an email always as well.
An email, pardon?
Yes, not only,
The phone number.
Oh, an email
The
address?
email.
Oh,
because the phone can be a barrier.
Of course. Yeah. And I mean, Angelique knows how to reach all of us all the time. And just don't email this email because this won't work anymore. But
Bounce back.
Yeah.
but we do have, we've set up a coalition email address. So that doesn't just go to me, that goes to a number of folks. And that increases the chance of hearing back pretty quickly.
So the lunches could also have a contact person.
Yep. And yes, they absolutely could. And that's an important one because churches don't have the same requirements to be accessible. And they are welcoming us and donating the space to us. So we can't be too choosy on on the space. There is a lift. I've used it. There's a little death defying, but if anybody wants to use it, I will go with them and we'll be stuck in there together if you get stuck.
Love it.
But yeah, it's been really great. Do you have any specific questions about the coalition, meals? Future plans are in flux right now. We're going to continue to do these meals, but we're starting to think about what kind of summertime events we're going to be doing now the weather's getting gorgeous.
I was just gonna ask about that, like the Arcadia.
Things are in the works. So some of the things we had talked about, it all comes down to a lot of like really boring money stuff, like what's going to cost us, what we can afford. We're not an independent nonprofit. We are associated with the city and we have a donation account through the city and their wonderful generosity. But so we don't have we don't have an ongoing fundraising system right now. We're working on that. So some of the bigger events, we're going to have to kind of line up. But things like the park, where if we're doing stuff at the city, then we've found that the city's been incredibly welcoming and accommodating and generous with resources and connections. And so we're hoping that we can put something together that'll be nice. And we'll be present at city events through the summer. Liz in the health department has been really helpful. She's on our coalition. She's really, really helpful with getting that stuff worked out. Yeah, I'm hoping for a summer or maybe early fall park event.
Yeah,
that's my hope.
Right.
That was fun last year. Yeah. Any other questions?
No questions, Dan?
I'm good. Oh, just one quick question. When Manchester Hardware closed, there was talk about a mental health facility being part of the rebuild of that building. Are you working in coalition with them at all, since that's right here in downtown Easthampton?
No, I didn't know anything about that.
I think that's still happening. Omar, maybe you could speak to that. Is that still happening?
CHD is, yeah.
Oh, CHD.
CHD is gonna take over. Yeah, they're gonna have some offices there. I don't know what kind of programming they have a broad scope of programming. I know it's not addiction and recovery because people have complained about that and heard no, but I don't know what else. They're yeah.
Didn't they buy it or lease it?
Yes, they did something with it that allowed them to tear down half the
I mean,
building.
they're at a border. I feel like.
Do you want to say more what Jillian does at all?
I'm happy to say more about what Jillian does. So Jillian does a lot of things. She is the suicide prevention coordinator at the VA. So she is our resident expert in all things suicide prevention. She also does, one of the most important things she does is on the back of my business card is the Veterans Crisis Line number, and on the pens as well, that 988, then press 1. That sends you to it's like the National Crisis Line, except we have 3 call centers that belong to the VA. They are on VA property. They are staffed by VA personnel. So those calls go to those national sites. You get somebody 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Almost a vast majority of those calls are just a nice person to talk to in a moment where you need a person to talk to, right? Some of those calls, they'll want a little follow-up. They want somebody from the local hospital to be able to reach back out and connect you to resources and stuff. So she is that person for us in Northampton. So those calls, when they get referred from those national centers, go to her and she will call folks back right from their own community. Yeah.
I've heard some anecdotal, just more internet than like people I know, but stories about 988 being called, police being roped in, and bad things happening.
Sure.
Oh.
So there is the vast number of these calls is just somebody to talk to. If you need further follow-up, they refer you to the local VA. If you're on the phone with them and they get incredibly worried about you, or you tell them that you are in trouble right now, they do activate an emergency response. The only emergency response they have available to them is a 911 call. So it's the only thing they can do. And the way that I think about it is, it'd be like if you had a friend across the country who was on the phone with you and said, I'm in trouble and there's nobody here that I know and I'm at risk right now of hurting myself. What do you, like, if you're across the country, what are you going to do? So they do the only thing that they really have access to, which is to call emergency personnel. And part of one of the other coalitions that I work on is with police.
Yeah.
So we have police
Yeah.
from Easthampton and Amherst and Hadley, and we meet together and we're working on improving the way we follow up with veterans after emergency calls. And while I've heard a few of those horror stories too, and if they come across my desk, I follow up with them and I have called police departments afterwards and said, you know, this is what I'm hearing, that this was the experience. Like, can we talk about this a little bit more and see if maybe there's a better way? Because these folks live in your community. These aren't huge cities for the most part. People know each other and they know the folks in their own community. So we do some troubleshooting and after the fact sometimes. And I have found in talking to the veterans who have had emergency services called for them, even if there was an initial bad reaction, in following calls that have come up, the response has gotten better. If I call that police department and say, look, this is what we've got going on. I know this person doesn't have weapons in the home. I know they have a dog. The dog's really safe. You're going to have a much smoother visit if you come in really slow with just one other person instead of rolling in hot with half a SWAT team. Mm-hmm. And then it makes everything safer for everybody.
Scares me about the number in general. It's like, you know, I don't know. Do you like the odds of surviving an OD or a bad cop better? You know, it's like, sounds like the cyanide Skittle problem. You know, if there's one Skittle with cyanide in it, you just don't eat that pack, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a tough question.
Yeah, I know. No, and I appreciate the work.
The only thing I can speak to is the work that I've done in other communities and the work I've done in this community. And my next meeting after this is over at 32, right? And because this department, I have noticed more interest in connecting with the community and finding new ways of doing community policing and reaching people and connecting with the people that live here than in almost any other community. It's part of the reason I started here.
That's good.
I think we've got a pretty special crew over there.
What's Emma's role?
Emma's role in that coalition? She helped build it with me, actually. She helped design this program with me.
That's nice.
Isn't that cool? So they have their social worker in that police department. And the fact that they have Emma as their social worker and they have a co-responder through CSO also said to me, this is a chief and this is a department that's committed to trying to really think about mental health in policing in a different way. So that was one of the first, was also a big indicator.
Who's the CSO person again?
Ellen. And she spends half her time here and half her time in Hadley.
Okay. And so Emma and Ellen would be coming out to some of these calls if they're during their shifts.
Yeah, exactly. And if there was follow-ups after, they might go with for those too.
Okay.
To offer
But that's
resources,
daytime
support.
hours, right?
There's always crisis available though. Mental health crisis is available 24/7. And that is something you can ask for.
You mean through CSO?
Yeah, CSO has the contract for this city. It depends on where you are. CHD has some crisis contracts. I think BHN has a few still.
Yeah, Bob, position. Yeah.
More questions? No. Thank you for coming. I appreciate
No
it.
problem. Do you want me to stick around or shall I?
You could do whatever you would like with your time.
Okay.
All right. So the next thing we're gonna go over is actually recruiting. So warmer weather, we've been thinking about places to go and who would be available to go and see if we can get new members. We were supposed to have a new member today. I don't know what happened to him, so I'll check in. He probably just got the date wrong. But we want to set a table up like we did last year at the farmer's market. So Eli, you usually offer to do things, but he prefers to have a second person there to help.
Yeah, I don't know if I can do that anymore.
So you could go for an hour or two, or Eli was being nice and staying the majority of the time. So we have 4 openings. And the reason I would be looking to fill those is because there are several subcommittees and other issues that typically it's just me and Eli working on them. It is a volunteer, right? It's a volunteer commission, it's volunteer work. So we only require this 1 hour, but there are things we want to work on that require subcommittees. So that's an additional commitment. So if you're ever curious, you can ask me. Some of the things that we're working on for subcommittees is doing another survey. So we did a survey 2 years ago, right? Was it 2 years ago? Feels like 10 years ago.
It was pre-COVID we did the survey, I thought.
Well, we worked on it forever. Many members came and went and had their opinion on it. And then we got the results, which Eli, right, showed to the city council, but we want to tweak it and do better and find out what other questions are. So that would be a subcommittee. That wouldn't really be done here because it takes an hour or more. So if you're interested in that, let me know. The other subcommittee is for a PTSD panel. So if some of you don't know what that is, it's a project that I had started a couple of years ago. And then it got put to the side. And what I plan on doing is having this panel because there's such a stigma with people that have PTSD. They just think it's military and from being in the war. And then there's all this shame around it. All these misconceptions that people with PTSD are dangerous. So the point of the panel would be to bring in different speakers who have PTSD for different reasons and the matching mental health person. So we would have a veteran, and it's not a therapy session, right? So they would only be speaking for like 5 minutes. When I was recruiting speakers, I was interviewing them to make sure that they had some healing time behind them, because this is not I don't know what words to use, but like some of the people I spoke to, like they're in a lot of pain and they really want to be heard, and that's amazing. But like we have to think about the people that are listening as well. So it can't just be like I don't even know what it can be like an
Opportunity to process your trauma.
Yes, thank you. Yes. These would be people that have already done some hardcore work and are able to come and just briefly, so yes, we would have a veteran, but maybe we'd have a sexual assault survivor, and then the sexual assaults, the CWC that handles that for Hampshire County. And then we may have somebody that was involved in a hate crime, and then somebody so the whole point is to talk about it, take the stigma away, provide resources. So that's a project. So I'm waiting for the subcommittee because I could do it on my own, but I also this is a community. So I want other people's input and what they want and don't want. So that's an additional subcommittee you can talk to me about if you're interested in it. Any questions on that? Or recruiting?
Can we
I don't know if
get
I like the
somebody
word
from VA, like somebody who's in VA for, what do you call that again?
A VA person? Somebody from the
No.
VA? Sorry.
The people who's in the VA,
Yeah.
at the VA, is staying there, like a.
The speaker, yeah.
No, it's like, they call it, I forgot what it's called. It's like, with the one, the company that they can come in and talk to you about how you did it, what you did in the army, all that
Oh,
stuff.
you want soldiers to talk about their army.
Yes, yes.
That would be interesting.
So we would have one person
Right,
probably
right,
talk in a general sense
Right.
about some
Right.
trauma you may receive in the
right.
This would be a little different. This is about people who had hard emotional experiences
Right.
in the army. And I
Right.
don't, but if you're looking to hear about someone just talk about what it was like to be a soldier,
Right.
maybe we could
field trip.
arrange that. Yeah, we could arrange that.
I like, because my nephew was in the army and he's a good person to talk to.
Yeah.
Yes, so you know, I mean, yeah. I know. So,
Love that.
okay,
Okay.
but I'll talk to him about it. You know, you have your number, because I can give to him?
I can do that. Yeah.
All right, I
Yeah.
can give it to him, and he can call you and let you know.
Yes.
All right.
All right. And then, so any more questions on that one? Okay.
My gosh.
The next thing was the snow clearing volunteer program. So I really hope it doesn't snow again. But if it does, you would contact me because I have the name and number of 2 high school students that are willing to shovel, plow, well, maybe not plow, snow blow. That's the word. For free. Because they're just being nice and they feel like doing that. I think they're seniors, so don't know that they'll be around after that, but we'll see.
Question.
Yeah,
Is or is it not part of community service? I mean, does EHS even have community service requirements?
no, that's not. No, they belong to different groups, like that community service is part of. Like, oh gosh, I can't even think of it. Like an honor society thing. I feel like it's called Key something or other. Key, yes. And so, right. So what they did,
The school doesn't have a service.
to my knowledge, he didn't mention that. So he not only sent out an email, but he made an announcement like at their assembly. So he went above what I was actually asking him to do. So,
So they're volunteers.
Yep. So I interviewed them over the phone. I called both of them to like make sure they knew what they were getting into, and they were very, very kind people. So, yeah. And I'll just keep doing that over the years. See, sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
I said I'll keep doing that. I'll keep asking the high school every year if they have people, since that's one of our big issues is shoveling. And I did have a couple people. So I then posted my information on Facebook as the chair of the COD, right? And then people contacted me privately. I don't know if it ever went and shoveled. But there were people that asked, and I gave them the info. So, yeah. Any questions on that? No? Okay. So the snow clearing PSA, did Jeff talk to you about it? Oh, that's not a question?
No,
Okay,
sorry.
Did he tell you anything about that? Because he's the one that was talking to Easthampton Media.
Which part of this, the snow clearing?
Snow clearing public service announcement we did.
He did not mention anything about that.
Oh,
for
shit.
departure.
Oh, Jeff.
He is, he's working at a company out in Worcester now.
Okay.
My daughter knows where he lives. But
Okay.
anyway, go on.
So we made a snow clearing PSA 2 years ago.
Something like
It's
that.
me.
2 years.
That was really stressful. Hello, I would like you to clean your driveways. Like, that was pretty stressful. But, so we just want to work on a different one. The pictures that are in it are not from Easthampton. So this, like, you sent some pictures. I have some pictures. We wanted to redo it. And he's the one that was talking to Easthampton Media. And the last meeting he was at, so 2 meetings ago, he was going to get back to us about things of that nature. And he also, I feel like, one their creative component to it, like, were we supposed to, oh goodness, pretend we were stuck or something? I remember him saying that, because he was asking me, and I was like, okay,
we've
like,
had so many conversations that have.
yeah, right. So, like, whatever, showing that the, certain
I think
sidewalks.
if you're doing a
aren't-
visual, and
Yes,
somebody's stuck.
Visual aids.
Really unable to proceed.
right. So that,
Better
so
than,
he was supposed to update us with that, but obviously he did not tell you. So,
do you have contacts with the Easthampton Media yet?
I've not talked to any of the folks over in Easthampton Media yet.
Stan?
and I know Stan has said that we can borrow their equipment.
Who's
You
volunteering?
have to become a member of Easthampton Media, and once you're a member, and there's no cost involved in that.
How do you become a member?
You just either call them or go there and say, I'd like to become a member, or my group would like to become members. And once they accept you as a member, you're allowed to borrow equipment and get training and get help with the production and various things like that. You could shoot part of it in the studio, or you can borrow equipment and go out in the community and shoot video, and then go back there and they'll help you edit it and get it set up as a PSA. And then they will broadcast the PSA as part of their programming.
I got a question. Anybody here know how to use the equipment or how to edit?
Well, they said they would help edit, so we wouldn't be able
But they
to.
provide training, not
Oh. They provide training to learn how to edit?
that's what Stan just said. I mean,
They would help you learn how to edit, yes, and you would be able to use their equipment. They have editing equipment in the back near the studio that's for their production people. They also have editing equipment in the lobby when you first walk into Easthampton Media. There are several editing stations there. They also have podcast room where you can create podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a cool space there.
There's a lot available there for community members.
okay,
But-
we don't have,
But previously, they've done it for us, is what you're saying.
Yes, on
Yes,
that one, they
okay.
did. They did.
Cool.
Okay, so it sounds like the PSA is also another subcommittee at this point, since you don't have any information, unfortunately. I'm sorry, didn't mean to put you on the spot. All right, do people have questions about that or particularly want to work on it yet? Okay. Do we have new business that we didn't talk about? Things you might want to squeeze in there? Any updates for Riverside?
I mean, that situation just makes me bang my head against the table, but I'm not, I don't know that we can have, I mean, it's just, I'm hoping the sidewalks get moved. The sidewalks get moved closer to the buttons because that's ridiculous. There needs to be a louder auditory cue crossing the street because.
And it needs to be a longer too.
Yes, it needs to be like, 3 times longer. You could deal with 10 times longer, but let's settle for 3 times longer.
what's this?
Yeah, you can restate it.
We're talking about the intersection,
There needs to be a boop, 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 when like the, when the.
So good, why don't you just say it?
Just do it, I'll.
Wow, that was so
So it
good.
would look good on a resume. I was the official town.
Official boop boop. Nice.
I think we need one who, when the,
Hire a
go
voice
down.
actor. You might remember me from such films as,
It's boop boop.
yeah.
East Hampton boop boop.
What do you mean about, I'm not reaching it?
Well, I mean, if you look at it now, a lot of the places, especially over there, you press the button, the sidewalk is 15 feet away, you know. The curb cut or the crosswalk.
Right.
The curb cut / crosswalk is like 15 feet away from the.
So you gotta go do it and then run over.
And I mean.
Was that you? Are you boop booping?
I'm boop. Yeah. Proof I'm getting spied on. I blame Facebook. Let's see. No, I mean, but right now, like if someone who's slower to, who's has some ambulatory issues and is slower, presses the button.
Wow.
If it changes 5 seconds after they press that button, they're not even gonna make it to the crosswalk by the time the walk signal ends.
And I
What
would
did Jeff Mack
add
said?
that
He said that they were gonna. Some
It
stuff,
wasn't
but-
Jeff, it was the city plan, it was the city engineer person,
Dan Murphy.
Dan
And said he
Murphy.
was gonna.
Dan says he's been in communication about that and he took those notes down. I mean,
Oh, well, Jeff told me something about making sure things were wrapped up good because of winter.
he did, well, I think he reached out to Dan and then Dan was here last month and seemed super approachable about stuff. I don't know that I've seen a lot of changes other than those orange barrels aren't blocking everything anymore. But I think a lot of the changes, I think they're repainting the crosswalks in different places and that's gonna solve stuff. So I don't know what the quick fix is in between. But I also think that same length as a signal is just not gonna, regardless of where you put it, we need more
How does that
time and we need
happen?
an
Like,
audio.
that's where I was connecting, because when I
Yeah.
had the operation, I was going around on with pain crutches and everything. You could not get across.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I mean, I just go here. I never even found the thing you can push.
is there something during construction periods where people are not afraid of getting in trouble with the city? Yeah, sure.
No idea when it comes to construction.
Oh,
That is
weird.
my purview.
When they first started constructing, the sidewalks were blocked and we had to move them to cross the
Oh,
street.
The
God.
barrels, yeah, a couple times I actually moved barrels just so.
So not only are they not doing what they need to, but coincidentally, they're right there in front of a place with lots of folks that have disabilities.
Yeah.
So it's just like even worse.
Yeah,
So who has oversight of that?
Dan Murphy,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
Dan
got the
Murphy,
person that was
Dan
here.
Murphy, who was here.
Oh, and he's approachable.
He seemed it.
Seemed very nice, yeah.
He seemed very nice and very receptive when he was here.
He's very,
Oh,
very knowledgeable guy, yeah.
Yeah,
But I think DPW.
And we
was a-
had the DPW here too.
Yeah.
but it's also I mean, the construction is state construction, right? So,
Hmm.
Dan is just a middleman who doesn't have oversight. The state is handling construction.
Right.
Yeah.
can we ask for a report back?
Dan.
Invite him again. I mean, if we're lucky and there's no snow and we actually start now, maybe by next January.
I know, doesn't that feel like that? While you're asking about Dan to come back, are there businesses or areas of people that you want you all want to have come and be a speaker. You don't have to answer now. You can answer whenever and get back to me because I'm the one that's picking all the
Ideas,
speakers. So
Bryce?
No,
No.
everybody knows me around here.
I don't want to be a bossy chair. You can tell me what you want.
No. Everybody, because I lived around here for 15 years, so all the fire and the police guys know me, and Lindsay.
Oh yeah,
So,
Lucky, you'll get saved first.
there was one year in 2019, our house almost, my aunt's house almost burnt to the ground.
Oh, I remember you mentioning that. That's terrifying. I'm sorry.
Because our next door neighbor had a tree and it came down on the power lines
Oh yeah.
and zapped the sidewalk.
Ooh, that's scary.
I'd love to get super regular updates on pedestrian accessibility in the school, but you know, just as a thing.
Updates from the mayor.
I want the man to tell me what's going on. Whoever
The
the man is, the man.
The mayor.
Yes,
Okay.
I don't know.
That's what the mayor,
Updates.
But who's?
Is it the walking to and from?
Yeah, what's pedestrian access like? 'Cause they built it in the middle of nowhere, and that's a problem.
You're talking about bike path?
I'm what? I'm talking about how are they making? I'm talking about pedestrian accessibility to Mountain View.
Yes. Okay. That's what I thought.
Because the connection from Nonotuck right now is absolutely not accessible, let alone walking to Nonotuck. That sidewalk is not accessible.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got stuck in a hole trying to go down to the park one day when we were in school.
You're stuck in a
Oh,
hole.
okay. That wasn't on me. Okay.
You're
Good.
off-roading.
Good.
but is, which,
You need different wheels for that.
Well, there's
is this the cut through that all the
okay,
kids and everything talk about is, I mean,
there is a cut through from Nonotuck. I've tried to do that path and it just didn't seem very, I think I did it wrong. You know, because I had never done it before. I mean, I don't know. But
Okay.
even if I did it right, it wasn't accessible then. So I'm wondering.
Speaking
I'm
of,
curious because I don't know if it's even official.
I think there's plans for much better stuff happening, you know, that may or may not, that probably won't happen by the time it's relevant to my daughter, but you know.
got it. Yeah. Long process.
I
But,
was just going to say the
but I'm
kids
curious.
will all be grown.
Yeah,
As far as Mountain View Playground, I know last meeting, there was like a community complaint. But when Eli and I went to look, we didn't see exactly what was described. So I did write back to it's a chain. So it's like the person I'm talking to has to go back to the person that made the complaint. And I haven't heard back. So it's on
yeah.
the agenda, but I don't have any more
Photos of
information.
where would be super helpful.
Right. Yes, that's true. So
Photos of, sorry, I couldn't hear.
there
Well,
was something
playground
wrong,
equipment.
something up with the playground, oh my God, equipment not being accessible.
Of the Nonotuck.
No, at the new
Over-
school.
Over at, Ma-
Oh,
over at
that-
Mountain
right.
View, and there's the playground area there is kind of expansive through the back. There's several different.
Yeah, we
play
went to
structures.
both areas and I wasn't,
Yeah,
the ground was, that like foam that's a little saggy. I don't know if they're saying the wheelchair can't get through. But I'll keep following up on it.
So David, David and Bryce, we got like 2 more minutes and I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Just like,
So, well, we are done unless, so the next meeting is Thursday, April 11th.
Yep.
Is there anything else before we close? Nothing from you, Eli?
No,
You want to say anything more?
That's all I got. Thanks for inviting me. This was really nice to come and visit. And I have something for you.
Great. Okay.
Cannot leave without it.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn. Can I have a second? Love it. All in favor?
I.
Here we go. Thank you, everyone.
This government meeting is brought to you by Eastworks and our local cable subscribers.